As many countries are suffering from chip shortage, there is once again bad news in the Chinese semiconductor industry. In March, we reported that Wuhan Hongxin went bankrupt, and now another 59.8 billion yuan investment, Quanxin Integrated Circuit Manufacturing Co., is in crisis. However, it is worth noting that the same person, Cao Shan, is the mastermind behind both Jinan Quanxin and Wuhan Hongxin. What kind of story could be behind this? In recent years, upon seeing the opportunities and benefits of the chip industry, something called chip fever has emerged in China. The state government and local enterprises are investing more money than ever into the semiconductor industry. During this trend, Jinan Quanxin is a semiconductor project that was established with the support of the Jinan Municipal Government. According to published information, Quanxin was established at the end of January 2019 as the largest semiconductor company in Shandong province in terms of capital. The three major shareholders at the time were Yixin, a company owned by Cao Shan, Jinan High-Tech Holding Group, and Jinan Industrial Development Investment Group, both of which were affiliated with the Jinan State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission, a state agency directly under the Chinese State Council. According to local media reports in Jinan, Quanxin was promoted as a key provincial project. When it was first established, Quanxin had promised to build a 12-nanometer chip factory with an annual production capacity of 480,000 chips and 2,400 pieces of reticle mask, which is basically the peak of technology production in China. Quanxin is located in the Jinan Airport Economic Zone, with 39 hectares of land and a total fixed asset investment of 59 billion yuan. With the assistance of the Jinan government, construction of the plant began in the first quarter of 2019 and was divided into three phases. Phase 1 was an investment of 23 billion yuan to build 12-inch 12-nanometer production lines with a monthly capacity of 7,000 chips. Phase 2 was an investment of 26 billion yuan to increase the monthly capacity to 23,000 12-nanometer logic chips. And Phase 3 was an investment of 10 billion yuan to add monthly production capacity of 10,000 7-nanometer chips. However, although Jinan Quanxin has a registered capital of 5.95 billion yuan, the pay-in capital was only 510 million yuan at the beginning, and slowly added up to 3.24 billion yuan later, still far less than the promised amount. Previous reports showed that the capital was mainly contributed to by the two subsidiaries of Jinan State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission. However, Yixin, the company controlled by Cao Shan, that held 41% of Quanxin, did not contribute a single cent. This is the same approach as to when Wuhan Hongxin was first established. The factory, which has been under construction for more than 2 years, has only just completed its foundation piling. More than 400 employees only have temporary office spaces, and even the electronic design automation software or EDA software that engineers need to use in their daily work is provided as a free trial version. Some staff revealed that all EDA software will be invalid after the expiration date, but the company offered no solutions. Recently, mainland media reported that Quanxin Engineering has been shut down and plans to lay off its employees. The 1.7 billion yuan worth of equipment that Quanxin has ordered and paid a deposit for has now become a headache for the government of Jinan. The report also cites sources familiar with the matter as saying that the 1.7 billion in equipment includes 3 ASML lithography machines. All the order equipment has yet to be delivered, and if Quanxin fails to make the final payment and violate the contract, the equipment vendor will deduct about 17% of the deposit as liquidated damages. As another Chinese chip company falls, let's take a look at how Cao Shan, the key figure in this project, is once again playing the chip scam card. On November 12, 2017, Cao Shan established a company called Beijing Light Blueprint, and 4 days later, Light Blueprint jointly established the Wuhan Hongxin Semiconductor Company with Wuhan East-West Lake District Government, becoming the major shareholder with a 90% stake. This is almost exactly the same establishment process as Quanxin. A year later, Cao Shan left Hongxin, perhaps because he had conflicts with his partners, or perhaps he was devising another scam. He took some of the core staff, including Xia Jinqiu, to Jinan to participate in the establishment of Quanxin. Xia Jinqiu, who now serves as the vice president of Quanxin, was one of the 6 senior technical staff taken away by former TSMC R&D director Liang Mengsong when he left to work for Samsung in 2009. According to public information, Cao Shan has set up at least 4 chip-related companies after leaving Hongxin, including Yixin Integrated Technology Co. on November 28, 2018, Yunxin on December 26, 2018, and both Tianxin and Quanxin on January 29, 2019. He became the director and general manager of the companies and had full control over them before he left or they dissolved. In May and August of 2019, Cao established the Haiyo Integrated Circuits Co. Ltd. And Quanneng Research Institute Co. Ltd. In the same manner, with the state government funding the factories and himself acting as the legal entity. Cao has become the de facto controller of the above semiconductor technology or manufacturing companies without almost any actual expenditure, controlling the 100 billion yuan semiconductor industry. In fact, any ordinary person can see what's going on in Cao's modus operandi in setting up this series of chip companies. Cao's most critical step was setting up the 100 billion yuan Wuhan Hongxin through government funding, and then using Hongxin as the backbone to recruit technical talents from the semiconductor industry in Taiwan, and even stealing TSMC's former COO Shang-Yi Cheng to be Hongxin's project general manager. Cao had no intention of running the semiconductor companies properly, but rather coveted the benefits. The key person who helped Cao Shan to fulfill his ambition, Shang-Yi Cheng, was once the most valued technology expert by TSMC founder Morris Chang, and was known as the global semiconductor industry's most popular figure. Hongxin not only deceived the veteran chip engineer, but also poached more than 100 experienced engineers and managers from TSMC and other Taiwan semiconductor companies at 3 or 4 times the salary. This is why 180 of Quanxin's 400-plus employees are Taiwanese engineers. Their average monthly salary is between 50,000 and 100,000 RMB, which converts to 7,800 to 15,000 USD. With this world-class team, Cao Shan can bargain with the local government or state-owned enterprises in the form of technology shares, without contributing a penny, but obtain most of the shares and management rights of the company. The news of Jinan Quanxin's possible dissolve was first revealed by the Chinese semiconductor news website jiwei.com on May 20th. The media also interviewed the key figure in the project, Cao Shan. Cao said in the interview that his actual identity is Bao and Bao, the chairman of the board of directors of Anhui-based Dianchuang Electronics. He said, "In order to build a core team for Hongxin and Quanxin, I have to travel frequently between China and Taiwan. For security reasons, I had to let my colleague Cao Shan hold the technical shares of the R&D team on my behalf." However, there is no information on the existence of his colleague Cao Shan, which raises suspicion that Cao was indeed Bao and Bao himself. The report also interviewed Quanxin's employees on the company's current situation. One of them said, "The company is in bad shape and has stopped paying salaries since April. The management is forcing some employees to leave." The staff also said that Quanxin's vice president, Xia Jinqiu, has informed department heads that 2 companies were interested in taking over Quanxin, but were unwilling to accept any former employees. The 2 companies are Shanghai-based Hua Hong Grace and US multinational company IBM. But when interviewed about the suspension of salary payments, Cao stressed that Quanxin has not fallen yet. It still has 600 to 700 million in its account. The report also mentioned the latest situation of Wuhan Hongxin. The Wuhan government officially took over Hongxin in November last year and began restructuring the company in February this year after all its employees were laid off. According to the National Enterprise Credit Information System, Wuhan Hongxin had officially changed its name to Wuhan New Industry Modern Manufacturing Company. Cao Shan is not the only chip deceiver in China. The Voice of America reported last October that within 1 year, 6 semiconductor projects in China worth $10 billion or more have been shut down. Behind the shutdowns of these big projects is the semiconductor craze of local governments and associated companies. Many cities and provinces, such as Fujian, Shanghai, Jiangsu, Shanxi, and Zhejiang, have stated their 2020 IC industry investment targets added up to 222 billion USD. In 2019, the net investment of the IC industry in China was just over 109 billion USD. According to a survey by China Economic Weekly, from January 1st to October 27, 2020, there were more than 58,000 new IC-related enterprises set up in China, the highest growth rate ever, reaching 33%, which means on average 200 new enterprises are set up per day. Even some companies that have no experience, no skills, and no talents are still joining the IC industry. The blind investment and lousy projects are creating huge risks and chaos. Why did this happen? Chinese current affairs columnist Wang Hao offers his insights on the topic. Wang said, the chip industry has long been globalized, and no country, including the United States, can establish an independent industrial system or monopolize all core technologies. But the Chinese Communist Party is an anomaly. Driven by its global ambitions, it has repeatedly emphasized the need to keep core technologies in its own hands, which is indeed the greatest threat to the world and cannot help but trigger countermeasures from Western countries. The CCP sees the Western countries' countermeasures as a threat to its own security, and has increased its resources and adopted various means in an attempt to acquire key core technologies. In this way, chip wars and technology wars are not only inevitable, but are bound to become more and more intense. This is the external reason for why the CCP is sinking deeper and deeper into the chip industry. Wang said there are two major defects in the CCP's system in global competition. One is that it is unable to effectively select good competitors. A large number of fraudulent companies and scammers have found their way in because of the CCP's ineffective policies. The state's ideology has made it difficult to cultivate truly outstanding enterprises and entrepreneurs in its society. The other reason is that China's whole nation system is no longer effective. The so-called whole nation system is a manifestation of communism, which means an order by the government should be implemented by the whole nation at all costs. The whole nation system is also closely tied to the local and departmental interests. In certain areas, this system may work, but in a highly market-oriented and globalized industry such as the chip industry, this system will be ineffective. Wang said, the chaos in China's chip industry also reveals that the government's political considerations and the CCP's internal and local interests are intertwined, turning many industries and projects into white gloves, meaning their purpose is not to create value and jobs, but to use the people's labor force to serve and reap benefits for the powerful. Under the cover of political forces, the market is no longer free and controllable. It also makes people wonder how much of the people's and the nation's interests have been spoiled, divided up, and taken away by this small group of people.